Hey, I'm Jeff and welcome back to another video. I wanted to stem propagate my Alocasia cuprea as well as my leafless fradique by the air layering method. The more popular ways to propagate an Alocasia is by plant division or by harvesting corms. So I just wanted to do this method just to know what to expect. So I will be doing this from start to finish over 2 months. So I'll show you how to propagate it and then what to expect in regards to results. So let's check it out. So I'm going to be trying this method with my Alocasia cuprea. This one is just absolutely gorgeous. It has sprouted 2 new stems. So here's the newest leaf on that little guy. And I got one popping out through the soil here. And then same thing with this little guy over here. This is the Alocasia fradique. Obviously it has no leaves currently, but the stem is getting pretty stretched out. If you've never air layered a plant before, it's just a way to get a plant to grow roots before you actually take the cutting or the propagation off of the main plant. So it's gonna grow roots before I take it off. And all these little bumps right here, I'm just gonna uncover this a little bit. It should grow roots very similar to this one right here. So just off the side of the stem. I have air layered in the past and I like to use these plastic nursery pot containers, and then I cut out the bottom and then I make a little slit on the side just so it can wrap around the stem. So for this one right here, all I did was take a utility knife, sliced out the bottom of the pot, and then same with this one, I just made a vertical cut right here just so I can wrap this around the main stem of the plant without damaging the other new cuttings coming through. It forms its own little pot just like that. Now, just so it doesn't separate during the propagation process, I just like to add a little piece of tape just like that, which can be easily removed when it is fully rooted. I've been soaking dry moss in water for about 20 minutes or so. Now I'm just going to squeeze out any of the excess water just so it remains slightly damp. And then all you do is put the propagation medium in your little propagation cup. Just gonna add a little bit more here. And then I'll do the same with the fradique, the leafless fradique. I don't know why that one went dormant. Maybe I didn't provide enough water for it, but I'm just gonna use the pencil just to poke this down a little bit. You can see it's not coming in contact with the new growth point, and then here's the other one over here, and this is how it looks. I'm going to cover the top here with some plastic wrap here in a second. I have no idea how it's gonna work with this leafless fradique, but I'm just going to put this container right over top of it, just like that. This is a G-rated show, so keep the comments clean, folks. And same thing, I'm just going to tuck the moss down there. This one will be interesting, just because I'm curious to see if it'll grow roots and a new leaf at the same time. There, just place that together. And the nice thing about these clear orchid pots or these nursery pots is that you can actually see the roots developing or forming. Now for the last step, you just want to cover up the moss just so it doesn't dry out as fast. I'm just going to place a plastic cup. It does have some vent holes on the top just over this one so it can develop those leaves if it does get a new leaf, and then it can produce those roots in the moist moss. Now for this other one, I'm going to try and use this plastic saran wrap, and I'm just going to cut it in half and then just bring it around. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just bring it around the top and just cover it up. I'm gonna leave it loose just so that I can, if it needs water, I can easily just take that off, give it some water. You can put tape around this if you want, but that should do the trick. It should hold in the humidity. So just something simple like that. And now I'm going to set this aside in their spots on the plant table here. That's going to get bright light from all my grow lights downstairs here. And then obviously I'll be providing some updates here in a few weeks, and hopefully there is some nice roots to show you guys. Okay, so it's been exactly 4 weeks since I started the air layering process, but I just want to show you the newest leaf. This thing is super shiny, super glossy, it's gorgeous. I can't remember if this little growth point had a leaf on it yet or not, but this cute little leaf. And then it has a growth point that's slowly starting to push out a new leaf here as well. But check out these juicy roots. here's a large one right here as well. So clearly this has worked. So I'm excited to get this out of the moss and see what kind of root system we're dealing with. Sadly, it doesn't look like anything on the Frydek yet. So I will take it out of the moss here, but I'm surprised it has not gotten a new leaf. So let's take it out and see what we're dealing with. So I'm going to be completely honest, this actually makes me pretty nervous because I've never stem propagated an Alocasia before. And because of this newest leaf, yeah, I don't want to cut it right now. But I know for the longevity of the plant and to make a nice full plant or a nice full pot, then this is what I'm going to have to do. So I'm going to start off with just removing the tape. And then without destroying this new growth point, I'm going to see if I can get the plastic container off. I don't care if the moss stays on. I just want this container to be removed without damaging this leaf. There we go. Okay, it is removed. Now I'm just going to remove the moss to see where the roots are coming out of on the stem here. Nice looking roots. Ooh, okay. I thought I was dealing with some stem rot, but that actually looks okay. It looks like we have 3 beautiful roots, so I can definitely take the top cutting. This is painful. I don't want to cut it, but that's okay. I know it will regrow and respawn well. So I think I'm going to leave just a small portion of the stem sticking out of the soil because I want these new growth points. I think these might be roots actually, but there will be some new growth points that will pop out from the side of the stem. So I just want to make sure that I'm finding the lowest root. I'm just going to cut right below that, and then here goes nothing. Okay, there we have it, top cutting. And then here's what the stem looks like. I didn't realize it's like purple inside. So that's pretty cool. I decided to pot the top cutting separately from the mother plant. I just wanted to establish a nice healthy root system, and then once it continues to grow or outgrows this pot, then I can maybe combine the mother plant and the top cutting in a larger pot just to make a fuller pot of these cuprea. So all I'm going to do is just fill in some soil. I'm primarily using ProMix's orchid bark. It's got a lot of obviously orchid chips, perlite, and charcoal. Just a really well draining mixture. So I'm just going to dump that in. Okay, so that should be good. Making sure it's upright properly. I don't want it growing crooked. And then I'm just going to give it some water. Let's check out the Frydek. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I don't see any roots on the outside of the pot, so I'm hoping this was successful, but I actually did, I don't know what I did with the top portion that was covering the moss here, but let's check it out. Oh, it did work. Not as far along as the cuprea there, but definitely got some nice roots. So I am going to cut this one. I'm going to cut it maybe right here. Oops, I just knocked off a little piece of the root. I'm going to cut it right here, like that. Now I have this section, which you know what, I might put it back in this pot. Hopefully this sparks some new growth for the mother plant here as well. I'm curious to see what the root system on this thing looks like. So I'm just going to take it out. Okay, the root's not the greatest. So you can see all of these roots are just falling right off. It had root rot. But this is nice to see. Healthy, juicy, thick, white roots. So I'm going to just, like you can just, oh, here's a little corm too. Sweet. Found a little corm. Gotta set that aside so I don't lose it. This definitely had root rot. All of these roots are rotten. Oh, here's another corm. Oh, it's producing a little new side growth for a rhizome. Okay, so I'm protecting this root. That's my one root that is allowing this to survive. Here's another root, and it looks like it has 2 growth points on the bottom, which is awesome. So I'm going to remove all of this rotten roots, just lightly pulling them off. So that is what root rot looks like. Okay, so that's pretty much all I'm going to do. Here's what I'm left with. A couple nice looking roots. Here's a couple small ones here as well. Got a couple growth points. And it looks like another corm just starting at the bottom here. I'm going to take that off. So I got 2 little corms from that. I might actually just stick all of these in one pot with some new potting mix. So this cutting as well as the top cutting I'm going to place in the pot, and then I'm going to put those corms in there as well and just see what happens. For these little corms, I'm just going to peel off the exterior, this hard kind of barky material. I've heard that this helps with a faster rooting process for it. So just with my fingernail, just scraping off kind of this crusty exterior. Kind of looks like a little onion underneath here for this one. So this hopefully helps it root a bit faster. I will not be reusing the old mixture, so I'm just going to put all this new stuff in and then place the cuttings, maybe like that. This one at the same height, just on the other side, and then just fill it in. And then I can put the corms in afterwards. Again, I've never done this before, so this is all an experiment to me as well. I'm going to give these guys a good thorough watering, making sure that these roots don't dry out. Now I'm going to stick these little corms in. I'm going to put them on either side. So I'm just placing it just slightly below the soil line, and then I'm going to cover that up. Here's the other one as well. I'm going to do the same thing, poke a hole on the back side, and then just pop the little corm down in the soil. Fast forward another month, and I'm going to start off with the Cuprea top cutting. We are down to 2 leaves. I removed one of the older leaves as it was starting to yellow, but as of right now there is no new growth that I can see. The newest leaf is still looking really good, and it looks like we do have a little bit of roots poking out the bottom. So I think what I'm going to do today is remove this one from the pot and combine them. That was the original goal that I wanted to with these plants, was to propagate it and then combine them so that I can have one full pot of Cuprea with multiple growth points. Now for the mother plant that had 2 growth points, one did get a new leaf. And this one is working on a second one. It doesn't look like any new growth from where I made the cut. I know alocasias prefer a warmer soil, so if you do have a heat mat, I'm sure they would appreciate a little bit of a warmer temperature, and that will probably speed up the growth rate as well. Now, moving over to the Friedeck. This is a huge disappointment. I'm actually quite upset about this one. I'm going to take this one out of the pot here shortly, but you can see these little brown circles right here. Those are the growth points or the growing eyes on the cutting, and you can see here as well. So nothing has been activated, and I don't know if you can tell, but when I touch them, they're pretty loose, so I'm going to pull them out here. And I completely forgot that I actually had some corms as well. So as you can see, nothing has progressed with those as well. So I'm going to take these out of the pot here, see if I can salvage. I'm getting ahead of myself. I already peeked. I took these out a little while ago, but look, I'm going to do it right now. No roots, rotten. So I'm going to try and propagate these in water. I'm going to set it aside for right now. And this one as well, this will just pull right out. So I know this is still salvageable just because it's not rotten. The roots are rotten, it definitely got root rot, but the stem itself is still firm, so it's not rotten by any means. Now, let's see if I can find those little corms. Here's one. It looks like it started to get some roots and then it got root rot. I don't know if I let it get too dry. Nothing. It looked like it got some roots and then it rotted. So I'm not too sure what happened. But I'm going to put these in my prop box. They're still, again, salvageable just because they're very firm. So I haven't given up hope yet. I'm going to discard of this and I'll find a suitable container. I'm going to rinse these off and then I'll put them in water. And then this one I'm going to put right on the heat mat, right there. We'll see what happens. Okay, now I'm going to take the cuprea out of the pot just to see how the roots have developed and if there's any further corms. Okay, so it definitely got some nice roots developed. So super healthy, it looks really good. This one out of the pot just to see what the roots on this one look like as well. I'm going to see if I can find some corms on this one, and it looks like, is this a corm? No, that's a perlite, piece of perlite. I'm just going to use my pencil to kind of remove some of the soil around the roots. I don't want to disturb the roots at all, just because I don't want it to start focusing its growth on root growth or root repair instead of new leaf growth. Yes, got one corm right here, two corms right here. See that little bulb right here? Just going to pop that off. Got another cuprea. I'm going to set this aside, and it looks like there was another one in here as well. So I'm going to pop this one off. You can just twist them, just pinch them, and they pop off like that. And then I'll place this one kind of right beside it, like that. Make sure those roots go down. And then I think that should be okay. And then I'm just going to add some soil just around the sides, and I'll let this continue to grow. And then maybe in a couple months I will have to repot this into something larger again. Okay, now for the final installment of this propagation video. It has been exactly 8 days since I water propagated the Friedek on the heat mat here. And you can see there's only one cutting in here. The bottom portion, it rotted. It was super squishy, but you can see the top cut portion has some nice roots on this one. So definitely the water propagation with a heat mat produced way faster roots than the air layering method that I started out with. So if there's anything to take away from this video, I will definitely be water propagating this next time. You can still do the air layering method, and I actually prefer that just because sometimes when you water propagate a cutting and then place it in soil, whoops, it may have a little bit of a difficult time transitioning to the soil mixture. Wow, I keep hitting this. So yeah, but it definitely worked. And now moving on to the combined plants. One of the side shoots is getting a new leaf. It's just starting to open up there. Still nothing on the stem. There is no growth points on the cut portion. Like, well, there's a little growth point right there, but it doesn't look like anything is happening. Right down there, maybe a little growth point, just a little nub, but nothing I would say, like I feel confident that it's definitely going to get a new leaf. So yeah, not ideal. I thought for sure it would start to push out some branches on the sides and we'll get a nice full pot. Maybe it just takes a really long time, but I'm not holding out hope for the cut portion here. The top cutting is doing excellent. So here's the newest leaf, I guess, and it looks like it's starting to get a new growth point right there. So another new leaf incoming. And then, yeah, so this is what it looks like right now. Maybe overall I'm like 50% satisfied. Really unhappy with how the Friedek performed and the cut portion here. So looking forward to new growth on this one here in time. And I forgot where I placed the corms. I'm pretty sure they're upstairs in my perlite prop box, but that is okay. Once they start to pop out new leaves, then I should be able to identify them okay. So the things I learned in this video are, yes, you can propagate an alocasia by the air layering method, but they actually perform better in water on a heat mat. I bought a couple extra heat mats for some of my current alocasias just to help kind of warm up that soil. Apparently the growth is much better along with the propagation on a heat mat. They like to be warm and cozy. The other thing that I learned is the top cuttings perform well, but the stumps in the soil, either it takes a long time or they just don't produce growth at all. So I'm going to continue to monitor the stump in the soil. If there's any updates in the future, then I'll make an update video or even a YouTube short just to highlight any potential changes in the plants. So otherwise, I think that's going to be pretty much it. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave it down in the comment section. Otherwise, thanks for watching my videos. Take care. Bye.